Sweet. As far as I know, we're live. So we're just going to let this shit play. I am going to do what... Oh, come on. Cool. It's all nonsense, thank God. Anyway, let's get into it. Sorry, folks. Unbalanced. Now we are balanced. Very nice. All right, let's get into it. These are prescription sunglasses. Now I can see. Share screen, go. Nice. Hey, I'm actually getting good at this kind of shit. Okay. So here we go. Cool.
I guess I can always start off by saying loose lips sink ships. That's almost a pun anymore. I'm Phil Schneider. I worked 17 years for the United States government as a geologist and aerospace engineer, as well as a structural engineer. I worked for such elusive occupations with Morrison Knudsen, Bechtel, Page and Page, Aerospatiale of France, and a host of other EG&G and a host of other Los Alamos Laboratory and these kind of things. But rather than bore you with all those statistics, I've got cooked up a real mixed bag here of different topics, and it's might be a little bit like brain overload, but I'll start from the beginning. Now, like I said, I worked 17 years. Co-invented methods of shape charge blasting as well as laser rock deflagration, which means rock is literally melted or powdered by a special maser laser combination, and the residue of the rock underneath is applied as a coating, as a liquid coating, kind of like instant agate, if you could imagine a hunk of agate, which is a hard silica mineral, rock actually. But up here we have another topic. This is an area where I worked. I worked 11 years of the 17 years at Groom Lake, S4, S2. It's in the Nellis Air Force Base area. In fact, Groom Lake is, I'll show you in the picture right here. It's right here. Groom Lake is quite the place. A lot of rumors and other kinds of things have come out of there. Of course, people have stood on the outside for years and wondered at what's been flying there. There's all kinds of things been flying. Let me give you a brief overview. Start in ancient history land here. Back in 1909, the U.S. cavalry was engaged in catching some banditos that had crossed over the Mexican border into a place called Truth and Consequences, New Mexico. And they went into a cave or a hideout and killed the so-called bandits, but what they found out they couldn't explain. And they were called horseshoe craft at that time, or horseshoe ships. There were UFOs, and they saw these, what they call demons, gray demons, little gray guys all around the place. That was in 1909. Now, in 1933, our government was actively engaged with the Europeans, mostly the French and the English, in special researches dealing with aerial phenomenon. And once again, the term flying saucer or flying disc didn't come about until much later, supposedly right around the mid-1940s. Anyway, the whole thing here is that also in 1946, I might want to add, we were engaged in atomic bomb testing and this kind of a like. And of course, the area of Bikini Atoll, some of the pictures are over here on the white board, showing with the actual language of both the U.S. Army and U.S. Navy archives. Anyway, these flying ships were seen as early as 1945, 46. Some of them were called Foo Fighters, and you name it. They were fully known about, maybe as early as 1935 or 36 by our U.S. Navy. And there was a shallow underwater base at Bikini Island, and that was probably the one reason why a number of atomic bombs were exploded in that area rather than other areas which they could have been even more remote out in the South Pacific at Operation Crossroads. Well, anyway, this all led up to later on, about 6-8 years later, 1954, during the Eisenhower administration, led to an interesting treaty called the Greada 1954 Treaty. It was the Alien-Human Treaty. And supposedly the aliens had come.
JB Rants, can I still make this work? Whatever. Doesn't matter.
Come in and exchange technology, and they'd want to take an occasional human being and a few head of cows, and accurate books were supposedly to be kept, and all this kind of stuff. And of course, eventually all that broke down. And aliens are notorious for being liars, even greater liars than so-called, in quote, we humans are. So alien treaties are often just not even the pieces of paper they're written on. They're just really kind of worthless. Anyway, my work as a geologist in building underground military bases, some of which are over 2 miles underground. And I think when you listen to Al tonight, if you have a chance to listen to him, he will speak of, Al's actually been on some of the high-speed monorail subway cars, if you might want to call them, that link these bases together. Some of them are capable of riding on a cushion of air about 3/4 of an inch off a rail at a better part of Mach 2. And he's actually been on one of these trains. I've only been in one of the tunnels and helped build some of the tunnels. Incidentally, I helped work on 13 deep underground military bases. Had hands-on experience. Notorious was the one in and around the Dulce, the southeastern and southwestern sides of Dulce, New Mexico, in the Los Alamos laboratory regions, where we built some hermetically sealed rooms that were very deep, going down over a mile. We also built additions onto Groom Lake and S2 and S4 complexes. There are a total of 9 underground. They're called dumbs, like.
Because I'm so confused even now as to how this stuff works with the microphone. Can anyone hear me speaking? Just say something in the chat. Even if you want to say fuck you, say something. All right, so this should be fully unmuted. I should be able to. The audience should be able to hear my voice. All right, I'll wait until someone says something. Until then, we keep listening to Phil. Hit play, go.
Like, you can learn a lot from this dummy, but DUMB stands for Deep Underground Military Base. And or a deep underground, DUM-2, for instance, is a submarine base, and I have built a few of those too, which are off our continental shelves and then certain islands and out in the Atlantic and the Pacific in strategic locations. All this, I can hardly, in an hour's time, I can hardly squeeze all this in. So I'll be kind of rambling here if you just bear with me. The main topic of my discussion here is to link up basically what's going on with these deep underground military bases, what they're being used for, what is the present situation now being employed both by our federal government, which is slowly being phased out by the United Nations government, as well as the New World, in quote, the New World Order, which is an even higher entity, and who these higher entities are taking their orders from, and try and link up basically what's going on. A lot of us have been kept in the dark. We've been given, maybe most recently over here, photographs of an alien at Roswell. I'll just make a very brief statement about that. The photographs cannot stand up to a computer grain analysis test and therefore are retouched or faked. They're not real. The real one, the real photograph of the charred or dead alien that was, or one of the several that were autopsied, is over here, was given to me by a friend by the name of Skip Frombach of Seattle. And his father worked as one of the principal doctors. He was from Germany at the time, and worked on some of the autopsy material, from what I understand, along with other people. Anyway, you just can't believe everything, and that goes for me. You got to get out there and do your homework. Like I always say, you might don't put your spectacles on, you put your skepticals on when you listen to me. So if we can have a show of hands here, how many people have heard about Roswell, New Mexico? Very good, almost all. And how many people have heard about the black helicopters and the other kinds of flying saucers type equipments out at Groom Lake and other places? Very good. Well, this obviously is a nice enlightened audience. Most of you have probably seen what a black helicopter is, or maybe even gotten rare glimpses of an F-117A Black Jet, or Stealth, as they're often called, or a B-2 bomber, B-1 bomber, or some of these other sophisticated aircraft that are now being touted as the new technology. Once again, where did we get this new technology? Well, obviously we've had a little hand in that. Our little alien so-called buddies, have kind of exchanged things, not without a great cost. The cost of which has been a lot of people have disappeared. Some, and I'll blow this statistic by you. There's, according to current FBI and Defense Intelligence Agency and CIA statistics, 100,000 children and 1 million adults disappear every year, and these are not kidnappings or murders or rapes or suicides or anything, totally unaccounted for. And where are these people going to? Nobody knows.
If you guys, if you can hear me, please place a 1 in the chat. Otherwise, I'm doing something wrong again. But if what Phil Schneider is talking about, I gotta plug everything in again. That's all right. I don't mind. I got my charger right here. Boom. If 1% of what Phil Schneider was talking about back in the 90s, imagine what Alex Jones has been talking about and what I've been talking about, and hundreds of thousands of other independent informational sharing bloggers, researchers such as myself have been sharing. We are talking about tens of millions of people missing. Now, Phil Schneider says it's aliens. I'm okay with that. I'm curious as to you guys' thoughts. Hit play, go.
Maybe one of us in this room, or somebody, has encountered on such an individual and lost a loved one or a friend or something, and that's unfortunate. My best friend, Ron Lee Rummel, several years ago, got himself murdered because we dared to put out in print, at that time I was still working for the government, and so was he, we dared to put in print that the so-called the Strategic Defense Initiative, or Star Wars, is part of the New World Order and takes its actions. It was originally written as a kind of a spoof or a joke. We had one of these alien grays dressed up and had New World Order insignia on, and of course that wasn't taken very nicely, and my friend got himself murdered. It was called a suicide, but now it's been turned over to special authorities who now acknowledge it was a homicide. Other than that, I'd like to also mention something about my father. My father was a U-boat captain in Hitler's Navy, and he got captured and taken over. I didn't find this out until about 2 weeks before he died on his deathbed. He kind of told everybody in total shock. I was one of them. In fact, I didn't believe him. I thought he was kind of in delirium or something like that. And of course, other things have come up since. And so, anyway, he was captured by the French, turned over to the Third Army, the U.S. Third Army, and then U.S. Third Army turned him over to the Navy. And he was a master machinist. Now, that's not a journeyman. A master means they can take a block of metal and make a gun or a watch or some other fine instrument. And he was a master machinist. He later became an MD doctor and part of the aerospace medicine group of the United States Navy. Was instrumental in helping build the USS Nautilus and its first nuclear-powered predecessor, the Enterprise, the first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, and other ships like it. He pioneered all the ways in building very small and miniature nuclear engines, and he even helped work later on in his life. He helped develop the infamous grid bed nuclear motor, which is now employed in some things that look like flying saucers that people claim are flying saucers. Yes, we, in quote, the United States Air Force and other armed forces, are training other European forces to fly unidentified, or now identified, or in quote, flying saucers. We've actually built several prototypes that are flying under names of black craft. My position as a geologist and engineer got me to see a lot of things in the world. I've been in over 70 countries. I also worked for NATO. I carried a level 3 security clearance with a rhyolite factor. Rhyolite is a hardened factor, only given out to a handful of civilians and maybe a couple of hundred military men worldwide. I thought I was doing the nation, the United States, as well as the world a favor by, I thought I was kind of keeping my end up. Well, it didn't work out that way. I was to later find out that these underground bases are now being employed as strategic bases for, in case there is martial law in this country. Right now, our military professors that used to be in war colleges and the like are training people like ex-Russian KGB and Spetsnaz people right here on American soil. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes, along with other people, other geologists. By the way, I'm still a geologist, still do geological survey work. However, I don't work for the government anymore. I took my security clearance and all my government stuff and cut it up and sent it back to the, pardon my French, SOBs. When I found out that a number of these 131 deep underground military bases are being used to subvert the Constitution of these United States and its people, I says, that is enough. I can't possibly be connected. Oh, well, Mr. Schneider, you can't quit, they said. Well, I says, yes, I can. I'm I'm an individual, I'm going to quit, and I'm walking off the job. And so I got arrested and casually told, well, you got to finish a job. And so I caved into that part. I finished 3 weeks, and then at that time, my father was dying, and I was allowed home, and I never went back for my paychecks. Don't intend to either. These people are beginning to show signs of being our utmost enemy. I'm talking about military people now engaged in training foreign troops on American soil, clearly against the Bill of Rights and the U.S. Constitution.
I have 2 people watching. Are you guys listening to this? And also, can you hear me?
It's why we formed a government, why our forefathers formed a government, a republic of these United States in the first place, way back 200 plus years ago. Because the drawing and quartering of soldiers, taxation without representation, law by edict, otherwise known as today's version, executive order, among other things. The very reasons that we became, in quote, free, a free republic, a free society, possibly one of the greatest nations to ever be a nation on this earth, were instilled in our founding fathers that are now so far away from the people now running our federal government structure. So I'm here today to touch upon a number of subjects. One being that these underground bases are roughly over 3 of them per state. There's now, instead of 12 prison camps, there's 39. That's almost 1 per state. They're building 2 prison camps every 7 months. They're building 2 underground military bases every year. Each one of these military bases, by the way, these underground military bases, they cost somewhere between $17 and $26 billion. They employ 1,800 to 10,000 workers each in varying grades of skill. They gobble up totally through the black budget, over 1/4 of the black budget, or roughly $310 billion. Of course, you may say, where are these figures coming from? Well, the black budget, as we know it, in quote, black projects, which anything called black is significant of hidden from Congress, hidden from the American people, and very few people are even in the know about it at all. A black budget per year garners over $500 billion a year. And it's these kind of huge quantities and sums of monies are garnered through CIA drug activity, National Security Agency clandestine operations, mostly in Panama and South America. Now also engaged in Russia in bringing and refining strategic metals. By the way, you might want to ask, where's all these kind of interesting new metals coming from? So over here on the whiteboard, we have the new periodic table. It's got 140 elements. Now in our high schools of today, I was in a high school about a week ago, I saw a new periodic table had 105 elements. Now somewhere, we're not being told the truth. We're being lied to at every turn and every corner. We're considered less than morons. So the government has made itself an entity, an independent taxing body, an entity into itself, and isn't accountable to anybody, not even the so-called New World Order. They just go ahead and do everything willy-nilly as they please. There's nobody checking. They don't have to worry about this. Occasionally there's a senator.
Here's here's where I have to check and just make sure my stream is still cool. Boy, here we go. Let's figure it out. Shall we? Yes.
Over the Third Army, the U.S. Third Army, and then U.S. Third Army turned him over to the Navy. And he was a master machinist. That's not a journeyman. A master means that they can take a block of metal, make a gun or a watch or
so if I end up
fine instrument. And he was a master machinist. He later became an MD doctor and part of the aerospace medicine group of the United States Navy. There's hooks and nose in here and there, and that's Nautilus, and it's first nuclear powered predecessor, the Enterprise, the first nuclear powered aircraft carrier, and other.
Okay. So, is there anyone who can help me out quickly and just tell me, is my audio happening in the chat? Like, can you guys hear me speak? Because I've certainly mastered how to share what I want to share. But what I need to do is figure out simply making sure that I can do my commentary as well. That's kind of important. And there's no way that I can gauge that, which is bizarre. But that's okay.
Other ships like it. He pioneered. We turned him over to the Navy, and he was a master machinist. That's the journeyman. A master means that other ships like it. He pioneered. We turned him over to the Navy, and he was a master machinist. That's the journeyman. A master means that other ships like it. He pioneered. We turned him over to the Navy, and he was a master machinist. That's the journeyman. A master means that other ships like it. He pioneered. Senator finds out either nicely or not so nicely that you don't do things like that. Now, if we're to gain a grip on our country, if we're to take our country back, we must first ask our public officials if they cannot tell us the truth, and we will impeach them, or they will be impeached, or they'll be tried as traitors. This is pretty stiff language. Already it's slowly beginning to trickle out and to occur to a number of people that this may be the only way out. And also our founding fathers, George Washington, Patrick Henry, and a few of the other ones came up and said that you don't want to let the beast out of the box. And they were talking about a runaway government. You don't want to allow your government to become like England. at that time. And so they warned us about this very same kind of thing. First of all, the United States is not a democracy. It's not a republic anymore. It should be a republic. That's to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God. Why we can't even pray in the public schools anymore. We have to have a Supreme Court judge or group of them, plus Janet Reno and company, among other things, telling us what to do. Interpret for us as if we cannot read with our own two eyes and understand with our mind. This, of course, is bad policy all the way around. And I guess I don't need to blow that by your ears. Okay, on another side.